I welcome you to this video. In this video, I'll be taking you step by step from the beginning to the end until we complete these models. Until we complete this model, we are going to start this model from scratch, and it is going to be in different parts. We'll start from part 1 until we are able to complete this model and render it. So let's get started. Okay, now I am in a new environment now. The first thing I want to do is to convert the units of this project to millimeter. You can see it's giving me in inches and I'm not used to inches. So I want to change it to millimeter. And what I will do is whatever version you are using, simply go to manage and you see project unit here, or you can use shortcut. Simply press on UN and it will take you there, but I like us to start with normal first before we start using shortcut. So you go to manage, then you see project unit, then we can now change the length to millimeters and hit OK and hit OK again. You can now see that the unit is now turned to millimeter. Then there's something you can see in the unit as well. That is you can see as the decimal places. Here you can take it to 1 decimal place, 2 decimal place, but I am more used to 0 decimal place so that my drawing will be neat. I don't want a decimal point. It will make your drawing to be clumsy. So I prefer my drawing to be neat, and that is why I'm using 0 unit. And I don't want any symbol. Okay, so I'm okay with this setting and hit OK. Alright, then the next thing we would like to do is to set our wall. If you look at this wall now, if I add dimension to it, okay, you can see something here. I want to dimension this wall, and you see that it's snapping the center of the wall. I don't want it to snap the center. I want it to snap the edges of the wall. So what I will do is, you will see on the option bar here, you see wall center line. The moment you pick dimension, this one will appear. So you are going to click on this center line and take it to wall faces or faces of core, whichever one you use, it will work. So I'm going to use the wall faces, and now I'll be able to dimension the wall. Okay, I think that is cool. All right. Okay, now as I dimension the wall, now you see that the wall is 203 instead of 225. What we are used to in Nigeria and some other African countries is 225 wall. So I need to change this wall to 225 wall. And what I will do is I will select the wall, edit type, then I'm going to duplicate it. If I like, I duplicate it, but let me duplicate it. The reason I'm duplicating it is that so that the original one will still be there. I want to create another copy of that wall and modify it to my own taste. And meanwhile, the original one is not affected. As a practice, sometimes you need to do this. And the reason is maybe you already have a wall. Let's say I have a 225 wall and I want to create 150 wall out of that 225 wall. If you do not duplicate it, then it is going to tamper with the original one. So that is why once in a while you duplicate it. Depends on what you want to do anyway. So I am going to duplicate this. In this instance, I will hit duplicate and I'm going to give it a name that suits me. Let's say 225 external wall, and I'm going to click OK. Now that I duplicate it, now you can see the name here. Okay, now I can now edit it. Then this is where we are going to edit the thickness. I will select the thickness to be 225. Here you are going to modify the material. You see under material, you see we can change the material. Then function, you see the structure. So I will change the material. Here, this is the material that is going to show when we are going to render. So you need to start setting it so that at the end, by the time you render your work, your wall and other things become the same color. That is not what we want. Okay, so I'm going to select a material that appeals to me. Let's say I want let me use stucco. I will go to stucco. Where's stucco? Okay, there is no stucco here. Let me go to appearance and click on this little button. This is where you are going to see so many material library, and here you can pick materials that appeals to you. You can open it up. Let's say I want a stucco. Okay, stucco is here now. All right, so I can select the color that appeal to me. Let's say I want this one. Here you can either click on this button or you right click. If you click on it, it has already updated in this place. If you double click on this little button you are seeing here, it will be updated here. Or alternatively, if you come to the color you want, you simply right click and you see replace in editor. The moment I click replace in editor, it's going to be updated here. Alright, so I am okay with this color for now. Then let me click OK. First, graphic. This graphics is what is going to show on your system as you are working. That is what it means by graphics. Then the appearance is what is going to show when you are going to render. I hope you understand the two differences now. Then identity is the name. The name and just to identify the words you are using, the class and some other stuff. So the graphics, you can check this box so that if you want to use the same appearance, that means you want to see the same appearance is going to appear after your rendering, you want to see it in your system. That is when you are going to check this. But if you uncheck this, it means that it is not the color that you are seeing that will be rendered at the end. For instance, if I click on this and I select red, and that means that my wall is going to be red. But when I render, it is not going to appear as red. It's going to appear this color when I render. That is the difference between graphics and appearance. If I select this box now, it is going to show the original color, and both of them have different uses. They have different uses, and one is when you are with a client, maybe you are working on the system with a client, you use colors that appeals to him, that will make him like your work. And sometimes there are colors that you use in these graphics that will not appear well when you render. So it depends on what works well. So sometimes we use render appearance, sometimes we uncheck this. Depends on the situation. So I cannot always tell you that you must leave this box unchecked. There are sometimes you check it, there are sometimes you do not check it. It depends on the condition at hand. Then you see this is the surface pattern. This is the wall we are dealing with. I don't want this wall to have a surface pattern. I want it to be plain. So if I do not do something here, this line is going to show on the wall, and I don't want it. So I'm going to make it plain. To make it plain, or I will use make it plain. So no pattern. I'll select no pattern. This way the wall is going to be plain. Okay, there are sometimes you need a pattern. For instance, if you are working on roof, then in that case you need a pattern. Or you are working on pavement, interlock, you need a pattern. Or you want to show that there is a tile, you need a pattern. Or you want to show that there is a stone, in that case you will need a pattern. But for ordinary wall, we don't need a pattern for now. So let me uncheck that and hit apply and click OK. Click OK again and OK. Okay, so you can now see that the dimension has changed now to 225. This is the normal wall we want. If I show you in 3D, you see that it is the type of wall we want. You can see the color is off-white. Okay, so I can now go back to my floor and select all the wall. You see where I'm using filter now. Select all the wall, and I'll select this type, and I'm going to take it to external 225 wall, and you see that all those walls have been converted to the wall we have just created. Okay, all right. What if I want this internal wall to be 150 mm wall? That is 6 inches. What I will simply do is I will simply select that wall and go to edit. Then I will duplicate. You see what I was telling you about the other time. The reason we are duplicating this now, so that this external wall that is 225 mm thick will not be altered. If I do not duplicate it now, you see that if I go ahead and click edit, it means I am changing the attribute of this wall. I don't want to do that. I want this external wall to remain 225. So that is why I'm going to duplicate it. In other words, I'm creating another copy that I will modify some of the parameters. So I will take it to internal wall, and the dimension, I like to leave the dimension so that by me looking I will know the type of wall it is. Then I will hit OK. I can now edit the parameters. The thickness can be 150 mm. Then the material the material, I can select any of this material and start working from there. Okay, so you see what I've done now. I just select any material from here, right click, duplicate, and the reason I'm duplicating so that I will not tamper with the original one, and make it 150 mm wall. Now I can edit the parameter here. The color is not bad. I will leave this color for now. Then you see the surface pattern. I don't want any surface pattern. I want it to be plain, no pattern. So I will click apply and OK. OK again. OK again. You see now that the dimension is now 150 and this one remains 225. Good, we are good to go. So I think these are the major wall type that we have. If you have any other wall type that you use, you can always edit it to your own taste. Okay, now that this wall is done, the next thing I will want to do is, there's something that is not looking fine here, and that is the dimension. You see that these sticks are too long. It's not looking interesting. So I want to change it now. What I will do is, I will simply go to manage, then go to additional setting. Whatever version you are using, you are going to have this. Go to additional settings. The moment you click on it, you see this drop down, and you are going to go to arrowheads. Then you are going to select diagonal. Let me select this diagonal 364 inches. Let me select this. Then if I select that, you see that the thick size is 1.1 mm. So I'm going to duplicate it and give it a name, diagonal 1 mm, so that I'm going to make it shorter. This is almost 2 mm. I'll make it only 1 mm and hit apply. Okay, you didn't see any change yet, but if I select this dimension now, I'm going to edit it. I will edit it. If you like, you can duplicate it. If you don't want to tamper with the original one, let me duplicate it, and I'll give it a name as room dimension, or simply room dim. Then this is where I'm going to change the tick mark. I'm going to, you see the one I've just worked on, you can see it is now here. If you didn't do it there, you are not going to see anything here. Okay, now that I've seen it here, there's something else that I need to do, and that is the text size. The text size, I can use 2 mm. 2 mm is okay. Then what else? The dimension line extension. Okay. Okay. Witness line control. Witness line control is. Let me click OK first. You can see that the dimension is looking more interesting now. Then another thing is dimension line control is the gap between this line and where you are picking from. We can modify that. Let's modify that one. We'll take it to, that is witness line control. I will click on this and use fixed line. The length should be, let's say, I can use 6 mm. Then there's something else with tick mark line width. That is this line you are seeing here, the thickness. I like using it thicker. The thicker, the more your graphics comes out. So I'm going to use 0.6. You see that your thickness will come out. If I uncheck this thin line now, you see that it is thick now. But I don't want this one to be thick. So I'm going to work on that. I'll still edit it. And tick mark line width is this. Then let this one be 2, for instance. Let's see. So let that one be 2 and this one be 6, so that it will look more interesting. Our graphics will look more interesting. Okay, if you have done all this, then your dimension is set to be used. Your dimension is set to be used. Okay, so we have set our dimension in this video. Let's go to the next video. The next video we will be creating levels. Let's go into that video now.